Hi, and welcome to another edition of Tops, the Titans of Publishing show. I'm Bill Davis, and I'm here with Marc Harty. Say hi, Marc.
Hello.
We're going to continue talking about, or going along the discussion that we had last week, where we talked a lot about publishing and content and just ideas and getting into the flow and stuff like that. So Marc has a few ideas he wants to introduce today. So I'm going to let you start, Marc, and we'll just jump on from there.
That sounds good. And we really enjoyed the session we did last week. Obviously Bill and I are both writers, and so we obviously know from experience, because we've written for years. And Bill, I'm reminded you now, not now. Let me give you my stuff, but the story you told me after. When we were kind of doing our debrief about Fiverr, because I think people would be really interested to hear that. But what I want to lead off with is something that I've done probably for the last 12 years, and that's called the mini day system. And mini day refers to time blocking. If you're familiar with time blocking, it's like, hey, I'm going to block out this time, I'm going to write. Now, the difference between what I like about the mini day system is it breaks down what you do into physical movements. So what I'm sharing with you will help you find the time to create and write. It'll also help you in the other areas that you have with your business. And my experience is if you implement the mini day system, you're probably going to see 20% extra time, because not only are you more efficient, but you're also more effective. So what the mini day system is when you break down things into physical movement. So I'll take something easy before I get into something that's more complicated, like creative. If you have correspondence, what I do is I create a mini day, not just for correspondence, but the same physical movement. So for example, I lump all my email correspondence into one time block, one mini day. That's the same physical movement. I'm typing, I'm writing, I'm sending. Same thing with phone calls. I block all my phone calls into a mini day. And depending on your energy, I like to do, 11 and 4 for correspondence, because 11 o'clock, I've been creating for a couple hours, gives me time to kind of change. And then 4 o'clock, sometimes, energy starts to decline late afternoon. Mr. Sleepy comes to call me, and I don't want to, pump myself up with sugar. So how does the mini day system apply to writing? And what I would say, number one, is eliminate all possible distractions. Social media, turn off your phone, and really just be totally present to the focus of, and to the area of writing. Now, last week we talked about how you write. Do you write faster if you're on the computer, or for a change of pace, like I like to do? How about writing, on this, this, on a notepad?
What is that?
This is a notepad.
Oh, paper. All right.
So smart ass. So one of the things, and here's another tip too, is environment. Now, right now I'm in my office. I live on a lake. I can literally walk, across the street and be looking out at a lake. I can take, a device or something. I prefer to take something old school like a notebook. Now, I'm not going to write my entire novel there, but I will tell you, and I don't think you know this, Bill, what a lot of people know me for, my PR traffic course, I created the entire structure of that course sitting under a waterfall with a big sketch pad.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, we have a vote for notepads. So, I can provide some additional tips for the mini day system, and I don't want to get too granular, and I want to keep this conversation interactive. But I will add some tips to the conversation here in terms of, just kind of how to play with the mini day system and have some fun. So, Bill, do you have any questions about the mini day before I turn it back to you for your amusing Fiverr story?
Yeah. So do you set aside 2 parts of your day for writing?
Ideally, yes. Golden hours. I have one in the one in the morning and one in the evening.
There's that golden shower again.
Yeah. I knew. I was thinking it. You voiced it.
Yeah.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Part of it is I find that if I write too much in the evening, my brain gets too engaged, and it's hard for me to kind of wind down. So, this gets to kind of your own kind of personal cycle. I know a lot of people, and there have been times where I have written in the evening because it's quiet, the phone's not ringing, nobody wants a piece of me. So yes, time of day, I would be more concerned about not so much the time of day as that you actually do it. If you're supposed to do it in the morning and something comes up, hopefully you can reslot it for the afternoon. But if you can say, I want to write for, well, here's a question. And I don't know, we may have touched on this before, Bill. It's hard for me to write for an hour straight. I'm kind of like, I write in like 45 to 50-minute increments, and then I take a 10-minute break, and do something physical, get up and walk around, go pet the cat, have a beverage, and then I feel like I can come back and write. I'm kind of curious, what's your kind of, how do you, or can you just go, there's some people that just, like they look up and like, hey, I've just spent 3 hours writing. So how are you in that area?
When I get into that flow that we talked about last week, my sweet spot is 2 hours. I can write pretty
impressive.
I can write a lot in 2 hours, and it's quality work. It's not it's not stuff I have to rewrite.
And you don't find like for me, my attention starts to wander, and I have this gnawing kind of feeling like, better check my email. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. What are my sports teams doing?
Yeah.
See that movie trailer just come out?
Yeah, those are all signs that you really don't want to be there. You don't want to be in the moment. But so when you're in that flow, nothing else matters. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything. What helps me get there is a little tool I use called brain.fm, and I'm pretty sure you use it too.
I do.
Just go to brain.fm, and they'll I think they have a free and a paid version. I don't remember the difference besides the money, but you can set your time to say 2 hours, and you can say I want to focus, or I want to relax, or I think there's a third thing in the middle there, but I usually just use focus, and it took me a little while to get used to because they start playing music, but we all listen to the radio, and I always wait for the song to come on. It's like, when's the next song going to come on? And it kept throwing me for a loop because the damn song would never end until 2 hours later. But it's really good once you get used to it. That's something that I've used that's helped me a lot. It filters out all the noise around. It's best if you use headphones. It's best if you don't have a window like right there, and I know you have a window back there. Close the blinds if you can. I turn off, I shut down, I log off Facebook and Twitter and social media. I know that I'm easily distracted, and especially when I'm really not there yet, like I don't really want to write yet, I will find a million different reasons to not do it. So I have to eliminate all those reasons.
Quick note on Brain FM. You're right. I do use it, and they do have time for focus. They also have time for sleep, which I haven't used. Although the technique is similar, because what the whole idea is that I think you have, what is it, 4 different brainwave states, and certain brainwaves are conducive, for sleep and dreaming and things like that. So I'd say 90% of the time I just use the focus component. A funny little aside, I actually reached out to the creator of Brain FM and I said, can't you do because they go in time increments. Typically I will do 2 30-minute increments.
Yeah.
And just, and I said, do you have anything shorter? Because I mean, you laugh, but I got to tell you, I actually have in my calendar what I call TMTs, 10-minute tasks. And I can write 10 subject lines in 10 minutes for an email. So if I'm pressed against it, but it'd be great to have a smaller, of course, he said, well, just, use the 30-minute and stop after 15. I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured that out.
Yeah. No, I get it.
One other distinction, what I find is if I'm listening to music while I'm creating, instrumental is okay. As soon as you bring in lyrics, then I start getting distracted by the words. And the nice thing about Brain FM, it's all instrumental and it's, audio tones and things like that. Some of them are a little bit repetitive, and unfortunately, even with the paid version, it's not like a playlist. You can't say, oh, I want this one. You just load up the focus session and whatever they have queued up is what you hear. So.
Yeah, that's all true. And again, I can't focus if there are lyrics in a song, so I can't listen to popular music or anything like that. Something you'd find on the radio or whatever. So I use Brain FM, or I write really late at night when nobody's awake and it's very quiet. That's kind of the environment I have to be in order to write really, really well. But you got to do what you got to do. So you want to hear about my Fiverr story? So
I do, and our massive audience does as well.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I think it was around, I want to say it was 2012. So 5 years ago, I had this idea I had this need. The need was the need for speed. I needed to be a faster writer. I've always been a pretty good writer, but it takes me a long time to write, or it took me a long time to write. So what I decided to do was get faster. And I thought about it, and we talked a lot about practice last week. And that's part of it. But in order to get faster, you have to do it. You have to endeavor to write faster. And what I came up with was, I'm going to try a Fiverr gig where I'm the vendor or the supplier or whatever you call them, the gig giver. I don't know what it's called, but where my offer was, I will write at least a 500-word article. You could post it on your blog. You could do whatever you want with it. Not copyrighted. I don't care. It's yours. I'll write a 500-word or more article for $5, and I'll return it to you within 1 business day. So when I did that, I had no idea I would get so many gigs. I was getting dozens and dozens of them. And I had to get, I could always turn the gig off, right? But hell, let's just dive in and see what I can do. So my hope or my plan at first was to get one done in an hour. Yeah, that's $5 an hour. No big deal. I'm not setting the world on fire. But what it's going to make me do is it's going to make me get faster, because my end goal was I want to write 3 of these in an hour. Still, it's only $15 an hour, but I'm getting paid to learn how to do something that's going to benefit me for the rest of my career. So I got really good at it, and the really fun part about it was I didn't limit it to a topic or to a genre or a set list of topics or whatever. I said, give me what you got. so what I would
dangerously.
I would spend at the end when I got really good at this, after doing a few dozen of these, I was researching. Now, you got to wonder about the quality, right? Because I'm writing about all these sorts of different things that I don't know anything about. I would do 5 to 10 minutes of research, and I would write 5 to 10 minutes and get those 500 words out, typing like a madman. Yeah, John, you're right. It's really hard, but I can pump out 2,000 to 3,000 words in an hour when I'm in that flow. But it's hard to do. But Bill, I had to condition myself to do that, and once you get sped up and up to task, it's almost hard to slow down.
Did you think about having a drive-through service where somebody comes and says, I'd like a 500-word blog post, and you're like, okay, pull around to the window.
Yeah. Would you like fries with that? Yeah. But I got really good, and I got really fast, and it was really good for me. And I got repeat orders, so I knew I was doing a good job, good enough that somebody would spend $5 for a 500-word article. It wasn't, it wasn't masterpieces, but it was good enough that people were publishing it on their blog. So,
well, let me ask you this, because in my mind, there's a key difference between you doing that for somebody else as opposed to you doing it for yourself, and that's external accountability.
Yes.
You could say, okay, I'm going to write 1,500 words. Oh, but hey, wait a minute. I got to go take care of this, or I got to go take care of that. Now you're accountable to this other person who's hired you, who can, granted, you're not using Fiverr as a primary source of revenue, but you obviously want to, have a good review. So you can, I think that, for me, the key takeaway is what external accountability component can you put in place? It could be an accountability partner. Bill and I, we can, we haven't done this. We, kind of do things on the fly sometimes, but you and I could say, hey, we're going to be accountable to each other in terms of where we're going to take tops in terms of content, on a weekly basis. So having that external accountability component, now, granted, we're getting into productivity and, all that kind of stuff, but let's face it, you need all these, these tips, these workarounds, these hacks, because life is full of distraction. There's always going to be circumstances, and you have to find a way to either, get around them, overcome them, or push through them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we touched on this last week. When it's easy, well, let's put it back. It's hard to go to the gym by yourself. It's much easier to go to the gym when you have a partner who shows up that you're going to let down if you don't show up, if you come up with some lame excuse. And both of you on each side of that, he or she is at her house, his or her house, you're at yours, and if you're both wavering, I don't want to go, but don't call them, just go. And if they show up, it's a bonus. If they don't show up, they let you down, and they know it. The odds are they're not going to do that. And that's how this was. It's like, if I missed my commitment, I felt like crap. I didn't miss any. And that was kind of the whole key. But, making that switch from, being held accountable or hold yourself accountable to an external, entity versus your internal entity, that's a hard one to make the switch for me.
Well, have you ever put money on it? Because, I have had, when I had different accountability partners, I would say, if I don't do this, I will donate X amount to charity. But then there was like, well, I want to donate to charity. So then it was like, okay, I will donate money to something that I abhor and I hate, and I will stay up all night just to avoid having to get in that situation.
It seems to me like we had one of those deals a couple of years ago.
We did. I think we did.
And I don't think either of us paid because we didn't want to.
Exactly.
No, that's a really good idea. And I know, and I don't remember the name of it, but there are services out there who work on that premise where you basically, and they hold your funds in escrow where, say I'm going to give $50 to the name, whatever political party you hate. I'm going to give $50 to that party if I don't make this commitment. You give them the money, and if you don't make the commitment, they make sure they give it to that entity. And if not, they give it, and if you do, they give it back or whatever. That's awesome. If you have a problem with that kind of stuff, that's awesome.
If you can track down who that is, we should start using that. We really should.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that about wraps it up. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, we can continue this. We'd like to keep these short, around 20 minutes. But I think, we've integrated a lot of different things. It's not just, the writing, it's the environment, it's the mood, it's the circumstances, it's your energy level. There are all sorts of different things that we can kind of play off of, with the outcome being you writing consistently. So, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's Friday. So have a good weekend, everybody. It is Friday the 13th.
I have a black cat around here somewhere.
Brings back memories of bad movies. All right. Well, everybody have a good Friday the 13th. Stay inside. Don't hang around any outdoor resorts or the chainsaw wall or anything like that. It's not good. But have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday. All right. See you later.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.